Good morning. My name is Jorge Sebastiao. We'll be spending the next 10 minutes together. Although it's a very short time, during this short time I'll try to give justice to the topic of artificial intelligence, the topic of disruption, and actually change. So let me first start maybe by a story. As you know, the civilization, as many people mentioned, started in Africa. In Africa, we can take a lot of interesting stories. One of these interesting stories is about the gazelle and the lion. As you know, in Africa, every day a gazelle wakes up. If that gazelle must stay alive, it must be fastest than the slowest lion, or otherwise it will not survive. But the same thing is also true for the lion itself. The lion must be faster than the slowest gazelle, or it will actually starve. The real moral of the story, it doesn't really matter if you happen to be a lion or a gazelle, you actually have to be running all the time. So whether you are a gazelle or a lion here today, you have to decide what to do. So in my talk, I'll be talking about artificial intelligence, disruption, and the changing of human skills. As we apply, when I came first to Cyprus about 20 or so years ago for the first time, one of the words I heard a lot in Cyprus was siga siga, and I think we all know what that means. So getting back to the first speaker, if you don't want to be the pizza, you better be faster than the lion or faster than the gazelle so you stay alive. The good news is that in this world of artificial intelligence and disruption, 60% of the jobs that are going to be created do not exist yet. So there's lots of room for innovation. That means you can take advantage of that innovation and that creativity that exists here to actually help create those jobs and those opportunities. But similar to the lion and the gazelle, you need to move fast. And this area of disruption, it's all about speed. So let me give you one example that we all have seen maybe in the past. How many people here have ever tried a Rubik's Cube or tried to do one? How long does it take you to actually do a Rubik's Cube on average? 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours? When we talk about disruption, we're talking not about 15% gain or 20% gain. People want 20 times gain. What do I mean by that when we do that in artificial intelligence?
Solving in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah.
You did it. Yeah.
That's how you solve a Rubik's Cube using a combination of artificial intelligence and robotics. You do it much, much faster than we have done it traditionally in the past. And this is the kind of disruption that is coming our way. 0.38 seconds. Now, this applies to other technologies as well. Voice. I work a lot in cybersecurity. Today, if we listen to 3.7 seconds of your voice, we're able to recreate that voice automatically as if it was you. And from a biometric perspective, it will be as if you're speaking yourself. The same thing also applies to video in other areas. Of course, it will take a little bit more than that. But artificial intelligence and big data plays an important role. It's all about disruption. Disruption is about challenging, creating imbalance, and actually responding to that in an extremely fast way. So how do we go about taking care of that? So on one side, yes, we have technology, and we have a few of the speakers here today talking about technology. But it's much more than technology. It's about changing the business model. A lot of the new successful businesses, because they tried things differently. Freemium models, we give it to you to try for free, or pay-as-you-go economy, or sometimes we call it also the gig economy. When you need something, you go and ask and you pay for it. But more important than even those two is actually the disruption, how it happens. On one side, we have the disruption of technology. On the other side, we have the disruption of people. Technology moves fast. People move siga siga. So we need to adapt those two together extremely effectively. In the middle of all this, we have lots of data being created by those IoT devices, by all the information that we're collecting today. So on the beginning, we had big data, machine learning. Today, we have artificial intelligence. But even artificial intelligence is not new. I remember when I started IT 30 years ago, we already talked about artificial intelligence. First commercial applications are 20 years old. So what has changed in the last few years? On one side, is computers have become a lot cheaper, a lot faster. We no longer delete information. We keep all the information. Because we keep all the information, we can apply machine learning models to their information. But it's much faster than that. Today, we have something called quantum computing. Today, you can use quantum computing in Amazon or Alibaba. You can rent it. You don't actually have to buy it. So even small companies have access to this disruption and this technology. We can apply it in many fields, medical field. So today, doctors are going to do a different job than they did in the past. The computer is going to be their assistant to allow them to diagnose things that are not visible or apparent. So for example, looking at your eye can determine maybe that you are going to have a heart attack. Google today has got 43 billion points of medical information that are using to assist doctors. The way you get help, you think you're talking to a person. You're not talking to a person anymore in many cases. You're talking to a robot. A lot of these help desks are not just human-driven. So what we call help desk bots. What about the mobile you carry every day? This mobile now has got an AI chip built inside. What does that really mean to this mobile? That means when you talk to it and you ask for instructions, it no longer needs to go to the cloud to get what the instruction that you are asking. It actually determines your voice in 20 languages and responds to that command much more faster than it did in the past. It can be applied to manufacturing. The same thing as in the Rubik's Cube, manufacturing will happen at much more accelerated pace. And we see a small company like Tesla changing the rules of the game extremely fast. But it also has not always good applications. It can be applied to war. And of course, today we'll have robots and AI-driven machines that will actually kill people. It's a little bit unfortunate, and many cases needs to be avoided. Even the car that we know about today, we have heard a lot about what we call car that learns how to drive. The first ones use GPS. Google is now trying new cars that no longer need GPS. They learn simply by driving around the city. So again, new business models, new ways of changing the
非机动车的种类以及行人的年龄、性别、穿着等。为了让记者向相关专家了解到，该监控视频所显示的应该是我国最新研制的实时行人监测识别系统，也有可能是交通的流量架构系统。这二者均是中国天网工程的重要组成部分。行人检测是利用计算机视觉技术判断图像或者视频序列中是否存在行人，并给予精确定位。该技术可以行。
That is China, by the way. Did you visit China lately? They have a machine learning for video. So you happen to show up at the airport, anywhere you go in China, you'll be tracked. This company called FaceSense is today the largest valued artificial intelligence company, over $43 billion in the last few weeks alone. So it's changing the rules of the game. Anywhere you go, you'll be identified, even if you don't have a complete picture of yourself. You have the picture on the left, on the right, 91% likelihood that is that individual walking on the street or driving inside the car. So it changes the way we build smart cities today. It makes those smart cities much more safer than they were in the past. We can catch the bad guys much faster. But today we also are combining technologies together. I talked about robotics. I'm talking about AI. Later on, one of the speakers is going to talk about blockchain. Blockchain is a technology of trust. So what we're doing is we're actually combining multiple technologies together to achieve even greater degrees of disruption. So it's not just about one technology, but combining them together in an effective way. But people, as I mentioned before, go more slowly. So we need to have new methods to help address the changes of those people, get better processes in place, have incubators or introduction of companies that actually help introduce these technologies more faster in the economy of Cyprus. As I mentioned before, technology changes fast. People, businesses, and political change much slower. So we need to change the way our schools produce new students so they can adapt to this disruption and change. The good news, again, is that today in the world, there's only 2,200 AI experts. That's a very small number for all the countries and all the businesses trying to use this new technology. That means you have room to create these new AI experts. Cyprus has got lots of universities, but they need to start producing the students that will be ready for these new jobs in the future. But universities by themselves is not enough, so you need training methods, because at the end of the day, universities tend to be more academic, where training tends to have more practical ways of introducing technology to people. Companies also need to address how they keep those employees by having talent management programs to introduce new skills to the existing valuable employees that they have. Because AI by itself is not enough. You need to have business knowledge combining with data and information to achieve the complete disruption. So for you to have all this together, I invite you to take those key action items with you. Remember, today it's about adoption of technology and disruption, but you need to have speed and agility to actually be competitive. You need to take care of training the talent that you have within your own organizations, but you also need to build new architectures and new frameworks that actually combine those new technologies together. I thank you very much for the opportunity to present today, and I'll be remaining for questions afterwards. Thank you.